thanks for jumping on, everyone, and jumping into this quick training. This is Ben Tyndall with the Washington Farm Bureau Governmental Affairs team, and wanted to, in light of an upcoming legislative session, wanted to offer this quick little walkthrough on how to efficiently and effectively navigate the legislative website and the various bill documents that are housed on the Washington's legislative website. So as we walk through this little training or tutorial, maybe it's just a quick little easy refresher, want to show you one, how to research and find information on the Washington legislative website, as well as how do you find out information regarding legislators or particular committees, finding out contact information for legislators, knowing where to access their homepage or identify the various bills that they have sponsored recently or perhaps over the past several years. And then finally, also how to locate legislation. And how do you locate legislation? How do you get information on a particular bill? How do you access various documents or summaries or fiscal notes that are related to a particular bill? Want to show you all those things as well. And then finally, we'll also wrap up with just showing you how do you identify your particular district and identify your legislator or legislators that represent you in your area. So we'll walk through those things real quickly. So first, want to show you this, how to locate legislators' information. So we're going to take you here to the legislative website, the Washington State Legislature homepage. This is an important website with a huge amount of information and resources, something that we're not even going to really tap into all the various tools and resources and documents that are housed on this website. But I would heartily encourage each of you to go to the website, www.leg.wa.gov. Check out this website, spend some time clicking around, see all the different things that they have on the site. This the screenshot here is the home page. This is what you will see when you type in leg.wa.gov, and this will take you to their homepage. You'll see that it will list what's happening as session is going to be starting on January 8th. This will show you what is happening on the House floor. You'll see tabs on the left-hand side underneath that legislature home title, and we're going to walk through a few of those in a moment. But I want to, as you scroll down, you might see some highlights. There's plenty of resources on the right-hand side as well that are also excellent tools. And then at the bottom, you'll see a great deal of site content as well. So be it how to contact a legislator, I should say, how to find or identify a bill, information about the legislature, as well as just information on a variety of things such as coming to the legislature, coming to the Capitol, being able to see the different things that are available on the Capitol campus. So anyway, this is a great resource. Take advantage of it. Click around. Again, keep it in mind that www.leg.wa.gov. Keep that in mind, as this is an excellent tool. All right. So with that, I want to direct your attention to the far left-hand side of the screen. And you have these, about a dozen or so different buttons. And so we're going to focus in on identifying and locating legislator information. And so we have at the top there, the House of Representatives and the Senate. So you can click on one of those buttons, depending on if you're trying to identify a representative's information or a senator's information. For our example purposes, we're going to click on House of Representatives. So if we were to select House of Representatives, it would take us to this screen here. And so we have the House member directory, and this will give you a directory of each of the House members. You can look them up based on name, based on their district. You can look up the various House committees, and you can identify members that way, as well as if you want to look at the various caucuses. There's the Democratic caucus as well as the Republican caucus, and you can look up member information through all of those tools and resources. One of the easiest ways, though, is to click on the Members by Name button. Each of these buttons, each of these, I should say, titles in green are hyperlinks. And so any of those you can click on and it will take you to the appropriate page. Again, for our example purposes, we're going to click on Members by Name, and this will list the members of the House of Representatives in the Washington State House, list them in alphabetical order. And here we go. We have this button will take you to that list of each of the House of Representative members. You'll see a picture of the representative. You'll see their title. You might see their particular leadership title as well. And it will list the legislative district that they represent. If you were to click on the legislative district button, it will give you information or take you to information about that district. And then it has their office information. Generally, everyone has an Olympia office. A handful of the legislators may have district office information, and that would be listed here as well. Then on the further right-hand side, it lists the committees that each of these members are a part of. Now, for us, I want to direct you to the Details button. At each of the representatives, they have that Details button. If you click on that, it'll show you this, where you'll have access to all of the legislative work that they have done really throughout their history in the legislature. So in this particular case, Representative Peter Abarno is the first on the list, so we'll use him as an example, and you can see his history in the House of Representatives. You can also click on bill sponsorship and you can see the various bills that he has sponsored during his time in the legislature. So that's the Details button. It has just a bit more, really a lot more information about each of the members that are on that directory. Now let's take you back to now, if we were to go back to the directory page, you'll see there they have the home page button. Under each of their photos, they list a home page. Every member of the legislature, we're looking obviously at representatives, but senators as well, have a website, have a home page that you can access. And so through this directory, you can click on the home page button, and that will take you to their website, their legislative website. And so each member of the legislature has a website. There you can learn additional information, excuse me, additional information about that member. You can access their biography and get some information about them as an individual, as well as news and media information, and really any information that that particular legislator wants to put on their website and share with their constituents. It's a great tool if you are going to be visiting or meeting with a legislator. Check out that directory, check out their website, get a little information about the individual, about that member, so that you come in to that meeting a little bit more prepared, perhaps. All right, now let's go back to the Washington State Legislature homepage, all right? Remember what it is, www.leg.wa.gov. And you can also, so on the homepage, we showed you on the right, or I should say left-hand side, the way to access legislator information. You can also find member information or rosters on the far right-hand side. I've highlighted that a little bit here on the homepage. So if you click on Find Member Information /Rosters, if you click on that, this will take you to a page that looks like this. And again, this is another way, another useful tool to find just a list of House and Senate legislator information. This will give you a roster of all of their information. In particular, that top row under the title Rosters and that hyperlink where it says House and Senate, if you click on that, it'll give you access to really just a spreadsheet of all of the legislators' information, their office information, their phone number, their email addresses, as well as their legislative assistants and the legislative assistant's name and the legislative assistant's email address as well. A great tool and resource to be aware of as you try to connect and communicate, in particular during the legislative session when legislators may be very busy. Being able to reach out and communicate to their legislative assistant is very valuable and an excellent tool. So this is another helpful way to get contact information for legislators. So be aware that that's available. Okay, so also wanted to just make you aware we're here back on the main legislature website. If you ever want to get back to the home page, the main page, just click on that top left corner, the little logo, Washington State Legislature, where it's kind of got the outline of the state. Just click on that. It'll always take you back to the homepage. So wherever you're navigating and clicking around on the legislature website, if you need to get back to the homepage, just click that top left corner. All right. So now you've got some information on how to connect with and get information on a particular legislator. What about locating committee information? Okay, I want to show you a little bit of information on how you can get information on a particular committee. Perhaps you are looking to testify on a particular committee and you want to get some information about that committee, or maybe there's a bill working its way through the committee that you want to be able to reach out to some members on that committee and be able to share your perspective on the bill that is working its way through. Well, let me show you how to access and locate committee information on, again, the Washington State Legislature website. So if you were to go to the homepage of the legislature's website, and then on the excuse me, far left-hand side, if you access and kind of go down a little further than we were before, in the middle of the screen, that legislative committees, click on that legislative committees button, and that will take you to the drop-down menus of the various legislative committees. You obviously have the House committees, Senate committees, as well as it lists joint legislative committees or work groups and task forces or legislative agencies. So if you were to click on those plus buttons beside each of the committee categories, it'll give you a drop down of the various committees that are housed either in the House or the Senate or the various joint committees or legislative agencies as well. For our example purposes, let's click on House committees. So if you click on House committees, it will show this drop-down menu of all of the various House committees that are working during the session. So for us, one of Washington Farm Bureau's committees of interest is the Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee. So if we were to click on that particular committee, perhaps there is a bill that one of our members is interested in tracking and wanting to get a little more information on what this committee is doing or be able to access that committee. Click on the title of the committee. All right, and so that will take you to the House Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee webpage, in essence, this kind of sub-page under the Washington State Legislature. And here, it gives you a great deal of information. You're able to access member and staff information. You can see the committee schedules or the agenda, as well as any additional documents or resources that may pertain to the agenda for that particular week or day. And then if you want to sign in, that is also a button option there. If you want to sign in to either testify or be able to express a perspective in pro or con or perhaps neutral on a particular bill or issue. So that is where you would sign in. So for us, I'll only show you the members and staff. So you click on that top button there, and that will take you to a page that looks like this, and you'll be able to see the various members of each legislative committee. They all look very similar, and so regardless of the committee that you select, you'll be taken to a screen like this, and it will show you that drop down of all the members of the particular committee. As well as near the bottom, you'll see the committee staff that also staffs that committee and helps serve that committee. All right, let's make our way back and let me show you now how you locate bill information. Okay, so if you can guess where we'll start, let's go to the Washington State Legislature homepage. Again, this is kind of that hub. This is a great place to start. It has a lot of information right there on the homepage that you can navigate from. So again, www.leg.wa.gov. Again, on the far left-hand side, you'll see about 5 buttons down, bill information. So if you have a particular bill or piece of legislation that you are looking to get information on or find out the status, click on bill information, and that'll take you to another screen that looks something like this. Okay. On this page, you'll have a great deal of potential ways of identifying or locating in a particular piece of legislation. You can look at the history, you can go through the introductions, both the latest introductions of bills that are being introduced, as well as just the history of the legislative. Hang on. And this will take you to this page where you will be able to identify or look up and search for bills. Now, you may be able to, if you have on the right-hand side of the screen near the top, about 2/5 of the way down, you can look up a specific text in a bill. Perhaps if you don't know the bill number, but you might know the title or what it is regarding, you can search for specific words or a specific bit of text that might be included in that bill. You can also scroll down a little bit. You can look up bills by their sponsor, and that might be helpful. But for our purposes, a lot of times you might know the bill number. If you know the bill number, that's generally the easiest way to identify and locate a particular bill and get information on it. You just type in the bill number on the left-hand side in that little box, and you type in the number. And for our purposes, we're going to use the example bill 1234. Okay, so it's just an easy bill number to search. So if we were to search bill HB 1234, we'd type it in there and we click search, and that would take us to this page and it would give us some information on HB 1234 and what was House Bill 1234 during this legislative session. This particular bill has already made its way through the legislative process, and it was signed into law last year. So for us, this will give us a good view, though, to be able to see a bill that's already made its way through the process and see kind of what information is on this website about a particular bill like this. So for us, near the kind of middle of the screen there, you'll have the bill title. You'll have the bill number. We'll start there. You'll have the bill number, HB 1234, and then the title is concerning the civil forfeiture of animals seized for abuse or neglect. All right, so you'll have the bill number, and then you'll have the title of the bill. Under that, you'll have the bill sponsors. Okay, the first name that is listed is generally the prime sponsor. That's the individual who's responsible for generating and initiating this piece of legislation. The other names are co-sponsors, individuals who signed on to the bill in support of this particular legislation. Each of those names are hyperlinks. And so if so long as this is a current bill, these individuals are currently in the legislature, you can click on those names and it will take you to their information in the legislative directory. Okay. Then if we scroll down a little bit, you see this box, this green box, and this shows you the current status of the bill, where it is in the legislative process. Like I said, this bill has already made it through the House as well as the Senate and made its way to the governor's desk where it was signed into law. But if the bill perhaps is in the House and it's currently in committee, some of the other green buttons or green dots wouldn't be highlighted. It would show you just where it is in the process. Perhaps it's made its way all the way through the House, but it's on the floor calendar in the Senate. It would be identified there. And where it says current status, it would also indicate to you where that is, where this particular legislation is in the process. So that's a helpful, just kind of bill at a glance, bill status at a glance, it's called. And so it's a helpful little resource and tool. And then scrolling down a little further, you'll see a really detailed outline of the bill history. And this will show you date and the steps that were taken on those particular dates as far as the legislative journey that this bill has taken. So each of those steps, it'll show you during the 2023 regular session. It made its way through the House and then through the Senate. And it gives information on each step as it went through each particular committee and the way the different votes were taken and the dates on which the different votes were taken. And those green hyperlinks on the right-hand side show things like committee material. So if you wanted to get some information on a particular bill as it related to that, as it related in that committee, you can click there. Also, if the bill has been voted on in either the House and or Senate, you can see how the votes were in this particular case, in this particular bill. It was a rather unanimous vote, 96 yays, 0 nays. And but for general rule, you can also see, though, in that hyperlink, view roll calls. If it's a split vote, maybe it's not unanimous, you can see the breakdown of how particular legislators vote and voted for that particular bill. So if you had an interest in knowing, okay, how did my legislator in my district vote on this particular bill, you would click on that hyperlink there and it would show you just a little box where you'd have the list of names and you'd be able to see how particular legislators voted on that particular legislation. And then it made its way through both chambers and then it was delivered to the governor, like I said, or later in the year. Now here at the near the bottom of the page, you'll have opportunity to see just a great deal of additional documentation. So under available documents, you can see they list the original bill as well as the various versions, kind of subsequent versions of the bill as it went through the process. So it had a substitute bill, then the bill that was passed by the legislature, and then that session law. There are also various bill reports, various bill analyses, different synopses of the bill. Great tool to access and get a kind of a breakdown of about the bill. But some of these analyses and their reports also break down some of the testimony that was presented during the various committees and some of the pros or cons that were addressed and presented during those committees and negotiations. So it's very helpful. Some of those reports are very useful tools, as well as a lot of bills will have a fiscal note. And a fiscal note is simply a breakdown of how much does this legislation or will this law, if it were to become a law, how much would it cost? What is the price tag for this particular legislation? And so those fiscal notes are really useful tools to just see that kind of monetary breakdown of how much it's going to, this particular bill or this particular legislation, if it were passed, would cost. And then this, you'll be able to see this particular legislation did not have any amendments. Some pieces of legislation have a few amendments. Some pieces of legislation have a great deal of amendments. And so you would also be able to access each specific individual amendment. And then obviously below that, you can access the various TVW videos. Each of the committees and the various hearings are recorded. And so you can go back and watch the different committees and be able to view the hearings and the testimony that was presented and things like that if you're interested. So that's available there at the bottom. All right. So We've walked through how to locate and access bills, how to find legislator information. Well, now, what about your particular legislator? What about how do you find who your representative or your senator is in your particular district? I know, no big surprise. Let's start at the Washington State Legislature website. Again, www.leg.wa.gov. And on the left-hand side, just 3 buttons down, you'll see Find Your District. So if you were to click on Find Your District, it takes you to the District Finder. And so this is where you are able to type in your address, your home address, and be able to see what district you are in and who the various legislators and representatives are for your area. So for example purposes, let's put in an address in Ellensburg. Okay, so imagine that you are on a 1111 Main Street in Ellensburg. You type that information in and you'd click the button Find My District. Click that button and it will pop up a screen like this, and it will show you the various state District 13 legislators, as well as the congressional legislators. So the 2 U.S. senators, as well as the U.S. representative. And so from here, you are able to, one, very valuable tool, know who your representatives are, who your senators are, and be able to access that information. Each of those names, again, are hyperlinks. So if you were to click on Representative Tom Dent as an example and click on that name, it would take you, do you recognize this? It would take you to the member directory where you're able to, again, access information about the legislator and be able to see the various tools and get some information and details about that particular individual, about that legislator, as well as access their homepage to get additional information that way too. So find your district. That district tool, that district finder tool, is very useful, and it's a good resource. So take advantage of that. All right. So just as a quick recap, I encourage you all, explore the Washington State Legislature website. There are so many tools on here, so many things that we didn't even really begin to scratch the surface. It's very easy to, just kind of get lost in there. But remember, always come back to the homepage and get your bearings. And there's a great deal of information about coming to the legislature, a great deal of educational information about particular legislative agencies that might be useful. And you're also able to access updates. If you want specific updates or notifications delivered directly to you, you can sign up for some of those. So again, remember www.leg.wa.gov.